Namaste. I'm Manish and I'd like to share with you yoga for stress relief. The first thing that we got to understand is that stress is part and parcel of life. There is no growth, there is no life without some striving. So what exactly makes the striving into stress? Stress is defined when a person believes they don't have the ability to cope with the adverse circumstances. There are two things implied. One doesn't have the belief. Two, one doesn't have the coping mechanisms. So what we'll do today is we will equip the coping mechanisms, and that should give you, once you practice this regularly, that should give you the confidence, the self-confidence, the belief that you can cope with the situation. Stress is defined as an internal response to an external stimulus. So in your mind, firstly, make that distinction. Somebody shouting at you, an accident happening, financial stress. These are external stimuli. But please note, the internal response is 100% under your watch. You can choose to respond. The question is, do you have that choice? By nature, we are compulsive. Because of the neuronal connections in my brain, the way I've responded to stress, reacted from the time I was 2-3 years of age, I have certain patterns, vrittis we call them in yoga. So if somebody's shouting at me, I can have my sympathetic nervous system work, and therefore I'm either fight, flight, or fright. So that could be my response modality, stress response. However, through yoga, when I say yoga, it includes body-mind-prana work, yoga meditation. Through yoga, I train my body. For example, when I hold a posture like this, Naukasana, what I'm doing there is, there's a certain amount of stress to the body, right? And immediately the sympathetic nervous system wants to go fast, the heartbeat wants to go fast. But by keeping my breathing really slow, I ensure the parasympathetic nervous system continues to function. So the breathing is slow, the heart rate is slow. Now, if I do this consistently for a few months, a few years, eventually the parasympathetic nervous system is trained to work even in stressful situations. So that's the first point I'd like to make. Please don't think stress relief is just about sitting calm, breathing slow. It's not going to happen like that. Yes, to some extent, but you've got to retrain the body-mind together. So when I do that posture, I'm calming down. See, yogis in the mountains, they don't need to train their core. The postures are a beautiful way to express the body in space. Also, it's a beautiful way to train the internal nervous system and so on. So now the nervous system is trained. Now, when there's a stressful situation, you will be calm. When everybody around you is losing it, you will be calm. Therefore, you have choice. So this is the point we are interested in. How do I move from being compulsive to having choice? To have that fraction of a second of time. It doesn't mean you become a vegetable. Somebody shouting, you can shout back, but it's your choice. It's not out of compulsion. For most people, if somebody is yelling at them, they will react, right? And that is either they'll react by fighting back or running away or just freezing. What you want to train is to have the choice. Do I need to tell the person to back off? Do I need to just not even bother? This is where yoga comes in. So whenever there's a stressful situation, there's a slight fraction of a second you have before you respond, react. Now you're training to go from being compulsive to being refined in your response. That's the first point, body training, body-mind. The second point I'd like to make is through breathing. Now, generally we find when we're anxious, the heart rate goes fast, the breathing becomes shallow. If you tell a person who's going through anxiety, just relax, it's the stupidest advice you can give. If they could, they would. What you have to do then is to be able to slow down that person's breathing, your own breathing for that matter, if you're in anxiety. I'd like to share a couple of points. One, whenever you're stressed, your eyes will be all over the place because you're thinking so many things. We use the same word focus for the eyes as we use it for the mind. So whenever you're stressed, first look at a point. You can do a balance pose, tree pose, yeah, like that with the leg up, or standing on one leg, or looking at a point. As I look, I immediately come into a state of focus. 2, I need to slow down the breathing. Now this is grandmother's advice whenever you've been angry, somebody's told you take a few slow breaths. Because they understand, everybody understands the body-mind connect is through the breath. So now you start to breathe a little slower. The situation is the same, but you have completely calmed down. When you are calm and relaxed, you're natural in your response. Therefore, you're not agitated. So if you have to be angry, and not angry, but if you have to be forceful in the way you tell somebody that they have to do something, whether it's a child, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a friend, it doesn't come from a space of violence. You have a role to play as a parent, as a family member, as a friend or as a colleague, as a supervisor. You have a role to play. But to be able to tell a person to do their role, to do their job in a way that has no violence means that you have to be absolutely calm even if you're delivering a harsh lesson. This is to be understood very clearly. Similarly, when you're receiving a harsh lesson, when you're receiving advice that you perhaps are not very open to, you have to be really calm, because that's the only way that you can grow. Having this calmness, now if I tell somebody just be calm, it doesn't work. To overcome stress, in my opinion, the first thing that you got to have, so we've seen how to train body-mind, we've seen how to train breath. So let's do a little breathing and then we move on. Just do this with me, take in a deep breath throughout this video, just do this. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. If you can count from 10 down to 0 breaths, you will be quite calm. If you lose your count after 7 or 8, start again at 10 so that you can go from 10 to 0. This will mean that your calmness is not dependent on the external environment. It's dependent always on your internal response. Now, please understand, so we've understood breath, we've understood how to use asanas. So please train yoga minimum 7 days a week, as I always say. The last thing that we want to understand together is stress. The opposite of stress, in my opinion, is not calm. You cannot do calm. If I say just be calm, doesn't work. You got to train focus. So you got to have a certain focus on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. This has to be a soft focus, and you don't have to become a crazy disciplinarian that every minute has to be productive. I don't mean that. You have a long-term focus. Okay, this is what I want to do. It can be anything. It can be the most empathetic person. I want to be a better friend. I want to, study better. Whatever. Have a focus. When you have a focus, the small things, what people do, say, small environmental issues will not trouble you or bug you so much. When you don't know what you want to do, when you don't have a focus, we call it a sankalp, a resolve. Every small thing will make you jittery because you don't know where you're going, so you're lost on the waves of life. Yes, you keep discovering who you are, you can keep changing the sankalp as you see more. Like when you're climbing a mountain, you have a vision to reach here. And then once you reach here, you have a bigger vision. If you don't have any vision, you're not going to get till here. Yeah. Or if you're only thinking of the mountain top, it's very tough to make the steps to go up to here. The short-term goals in the long-term journey of life. This is what I wanted to share with you when it comes to stress. A, have a sankalp, a resolve, a long-term goal. I've done another video about sankalp, explaining it. You can refer to that. The second one is how to train the body through asana, so the nervous system starts to work all the time. Parasympathetic, when you're stressed, it works. And the last is by slow, mindful breathing, how you can be in a calmer state. Please do write in. With this 21st Century Yoga project, we're always keen to see how these ancient practices, and we want to question everything and see how it works for modern man. Is it transforming your body, mind, prana, or energy? Please do write in. Share some instances where this has helped, and I'm very keen to know more. How you're using this at work, in corporate life, in family life, and just for your own purpose in life. Namaste.